Over the last few weeks, we've seen the introduction of two very specific, very unique, and very new vehicles, the Hyundai Santa Cruz and the Ford Maverick. Both fall into what we would consider the compact pickup truck category. They're smaller than mid-size trucks like the Honda Ridgeline or the Toyota Tacoma. And while Hyundai isn't calling the Santa Cruz a truck, we look at the bed and think, well, truck. I've been calling these two utes, short for utility vehicles, and it's also a fun joke from my cousin Vinny, but they offer quite a bit of versatility for a small package. This can be especially useful for truck buyers that live in crowded cities where parking is hard to find, or buyers that don't need the capability of a mid-size or full-size truck. So before we get a chance to drive these, we wanted to compare the numbers and see how they stack up on paper. Which one are you more interested in? Which one would we recommend? Well, in some cases, the answer might surprise you. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit Edmunds.com for your next car, truck, or ute. If you want a cash offer on your car today, go to Edmunds.com/sellmycar. And if you've ever owned a ute or you've got a favorite one, let us know in the comments below. Personally, I've always been partial to the Subaru Brat, but I'm a bit weird. We don't know yet what the full pricing breakdown of the Santa Cruz is, but we can do some educated guessing. The first thing we don't need to guess on is the starting price for the Ford Maverick. They say it'll start at $19,995, but that's without destination charges. Most automakers quote prices this way, but it's a bit misleading. With destination, the price will be a little bit closer to $22,000, and that of course will be for the base XL version.
Prices for the XLT and Lariat models range a little bit higher, starting around $23,000 and working their way up closer to $40,000.
It could be a really neat trick if Hyundai could pull off the same pricing, down near the $22,000 mark, but that's less likely. Why? Well, the interior looked nicer when I sat in it. The styling is more form over function, and it has more capability in key areas on paper. So we expect a starting price around $27,000, when you include destination, of course. The prices work their way up to between $35,000 and $40,000 in our mind, but it's likely that at those higher prices, you'll get more for your money. Okay, so this next category is completely subjective, but I think there's a lot of positive going on for both of these trucks. The Santa Cruz embraces style, being sleek and not calling itself a truck. The Maverick does the opposite. It fully embraces the "look at how basic I am," being designed by someone who only knows how to draw right angles vibe. You know, it's kind of square and boxy. This was reflected too in the way these vehicles were presented to us. We had early access to both of these vehicles and we could check them out in closed off spaces before we were ever allowed to release photos or video to the public. And the manufacturers could present them in any way they wanted. How'd Hyundai do it? Well, they had a white room where we had to wear dust covers on our shoes just to walk near the truck. How'd Ford do it? They had a big empty warehouse looking space with bikes and surfboards and coolers for us to use as props. That and the trims they presented to us said similar things about them. The Ford's was a mid-level XLT model with a few options missing, and the Santa Cruz seemed completely topped out with all the features and interior appointments. It seems like both of these auto manufacturers know their audience. So, what's powering these two? Let's talk about the Ford first. At launch, there will be two engines available. The first, and the standard powertrain, is a 2.5-liter four-cylinder with a hybrid system. It's paired with a continuously variable transmission. Official EPA fuel economy estimates aren't out for the MAV yet, but Ford is saying that the base engine will get 37 mpg combined with front-wheel drive. All-wheel drive will likely drop that a little bit. Optional is a 2-liter turbocharged four-cylinder paired to an 8-speed automatic with much more power. No official estimates are out yet, but this engine is in both the Escape and the Bronco Sport, so it'll be safe to assume that it's somewhere around the mid-20 mpg range. And the Santa Cruz, it has two engines as well. The standard engine is a 2.5-liter four-cylinder that puts out a bit more torque than the Maverick, and it's paired with an 8-speed automatic. The EPA estimates that it'll return 23 mpg combined with front or all-wheel drive. That's, well, a lot less than the Maverick Hybrid. The optional engine is a 2.5-liter turbocharged four-cylinder. It has a bit more power than the Maverick, totally respectable for its size, and it's paired with an 8-speed dual-clutch transmission. DCTs, though, are normally associated with sports cars that typically have faster shifts, but they can be clunky at slow speeds, which may hinder off-road capability and in-town maneuverability. If it's well sorted out though, it could be an interesting combination. The EPA says it'll get 22 mpg combined. So in this case, the edge goes to the Ford for mpg and the Hyundai for power. But we'll have to wait and see how that translates to performance. And one big factor in that acceleration piece is size. The Ford is about 4 inches longer and 3 inches taller than the Hyundai, which isn't nothing, but it's not a huge difference either. Standing next to either ute, I could easily see over the roof to the other side, and neither of them feels too large for a city center. The Santa Cruz does slightly win the edge though in terms of dimensions. Oh, and then there's the important stuff, towing and hauling. The Santa Cruz edges out the Maverick in both regards, with higher towing and payload figures with either engine option. The Santa Cruz's bed is a smidge shorter than the Ford's, but the Santa Cruz has a cool in-bed trunk. Point for Hyundai there. The Ford, however, has a flex bed system, so you can buy wood and build your own damn storage. DIY time. What flex bed basically means, though, is that you can create an easily configurable storage system for bikes or kayaks or tools, just using some wood and the pre-built slots in the bed. That is, if you can find wood for less than the cost of a fully built-out Ford Maverick. I mean, it's cool that they thought of that, but I'd rather just have the drainable in-bed trunk. Sadly, one thing that the Santa Cruz's trunk doesn't have going for it is the side-open tailgate like the Honda Ridgeline. When you've got the in-bed trunk, you want to be able to get close to it, and Hyundai didn't think of that. The Santa Cruz also has a roll-up tonneau cover, while Ford has a foldable version, and both have in-bed plugs, so you can plug in your tools. Both trucks have tailgates with adjustable heights, so you can have longer items like plywood hanging out of the back, and both tailgates have a 500-pound weight rating, so it's a tie there. Oh, and the Santa Cruz, it gets nice little bumper steps in the side for when you're tying down large items in the bed. As it stands, I've lost track of all the points that I was supposed to be keeping track of, but it feels like the less trucky-looking truck in this comparison gets the win in most of the truck utility categories. Get in either one of these vehicles and you'll get different impressions right away. The Ford is meant to appeal to a no-nonsense buyer. It uses hard plastics and large water bottle holders for all you adventurous, hydrated types. The Santa Cruz uses dark piano blacks, and it has touchscreen-only interfaces. It appeals to someone who doesn't want to remember that they drive a utilitarian vehicle, just one that can be used that way in a pinch. And there's a good representation of that in the optional equipment. The Santa Cruz, you can get ventilated seats. The Maverick, you can't. Materials quality is definitely higher in the Santa Cruz that we sat in than the Maverick that we sat in, but we saw what's probably a higher trim level on that Santa Cruz. So to get a real sense of all the differences, we'll have to see all the trims and see similarly priced ones next to each other at the same time. Who's up for a comparison test? Storage is about the same for these two, with decent-sized center consoles, under-seat storage in the back, but where the Ford pulls ahead is in terms of its massive door pockets. It doesn't have as many USB ports though. The Santa Cruz has 4 and the Maverick we sat in only had 2. Also, the Santa Cruz comes with stuff like wireless smartphone connection, where the Maverick doesn't. And it gets a composite bed liner, where in the Maverick you'll have to get one sprayed in. It would appear then that we have two pretty evenly matched trucks here. There are categories where the Ford dominates, like MPG and pricing, but there are other spots where the Hyundai pulls ahead, like towing and payload. We're anxious to get both of these trucks in-house for testing on the Edmunds test track and out in the real world, but let us know in the comments below what kind of tests you want to see. Maybe we should do something completely ridiculous, like take them both out to the Rubicon Trail and see how many feet they can get, or hook them both up to a really big trailer and drive straight up a mountain. Anyway, thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments below what you think of both of these trucks, and click the link in the description below for a full article with all the numbers on both of these utes. For a cash offer on your car today, go to edmunds.com/sellmycar.